heart monitor beeped steadily beside my bed when my phone buzzed. I remember staring at the ceiling, counting the tiny cracks in the plaster, trying to distract myself from the pain spreading across my chest like cold water. The doctor had said I was lucky, another 10 minutes, and I might not have made it. I was 72 years old, lying alone in a hospital room that smelled of antiseptic and loneliness, when my son's message appeared on my screen. "Eric, we flew away, took all your money, bye." No explanation, no apology, just 5 words that hollowed me out faster than the heart attack had. "My name is Ned Harrison. Most people call me Grandpa Ned." And in that moment, staring at my son's text, I realized something far more painful than clogged arteries was killing me. I had raised a stranger. Once upon a time, I was strong, not the loud, chest-thumping kind of strong, but the kind that wakes up before sunrise and works until the moon is high. I spent 43 years as a machinist, hands scarred, back bent, lungs full of metal dust. I missed birthdays, I missed vacations, I missed my wife smiling across a dinner table, but I never missed a bill. When my wife Margaret died 15 years ago, the house fell silent. Eric was already married by then, but I kept going for him, for his kids, for a future I thought I was securing. I sold my fishing boat, I downsized my life, I saved every dollar. Just in case, I always said, I never imagined the case would be my own son. It started small. Eric would visit with his wife Lana sitting stiffly on my couch while she glanced at my furniture like it offended her. "Dad," Eric said one afternoon, "you shouldn't be managing your finances alone. What if something happens?" I laughed. "I'm fine, still got my mind." But he persisted. He helped me organize my accounts, suggested joint access for emergencies, encouraged me to sell some investments. "Too risky for someone your age," he said. I trusted him. That was my first mistake. The second mistake was getting sick. The heart attack came suddenly. One moment I was reaching for a cup of coffee, the next I was on the floor, gasping like a fish on dry land. The hospital moved fast. Tests, tubes, warnings whispered just out of earshot. Eric visited once. He stood at the foot of my bed, arms crossed, eyes flicking to his phone every few seconds. "You'll be okay," he said, without sounding like he meant it. "Lana and I have a trip planned, but I'll check in." He didn't. Instead, 3 days later, I received that text again in my mind like a punch. "We flew away, took all your money, bye." I stared at it until the letters blurred. All my money, my savings, Margaret's life insurance, everything I'd worked for, gone. I felt my chest tighten again, not another heart attack, but something worse, betrayal. The nurse noticed my shaking hands. "Mr. Harrison, are you okay?" I wanted to say no, I wanted to scream, but what came out was a whisper. "My son, he took everything." She frowned. "Did you authorize the transfers?" I shook my head. That was the moment things changed. The hospital's social worker came, then a financial abuse specialist, then a police officer with kind eyes who pulled up a chair. "Mr. Harrison," he said gently, "you're not the first, and you won't be the last. But we're going to help you." I didn't believe him, not yet. While the investigation began, I was discharged to a rehabilitation facility. A small room, shared bathroom, food that tasted like cardboard. One afternoon, an elderly woman shuffled in with a walker and sat beside me in the common room. "You look like a man carrying a heavy story," she said. I chuckled bitterly. "Lost everything," she nodded. "So did I twice." Her name was Ruth, a retired accountant, sharp as a tack. Over cups of terrible coffee, I told her everything. She listened quietly, then smiled. "Do you still have your old workshop?" "My garage, yes. And your business license?" "I never cancelled it." She leaned in. "Then you're not done yet." With Ruth's help, I contacted an attorney specializing in elder financial abuse. The evidence was clear. Eric had drained accounts using power of attorney meant only for emergencies. Charges were filed, but I didn't wait for justice to rebuild my life. When I was released, I went home to my quiet house and opened my garage. The smell of oil and steel hit me like a memory. I began fixing things. Neighbors brought broken lawnmowers. Friends of friends needed metal parts. Word spread. Within months, Grandpa Ned was back in business. My hands hurt, my back screamed, but my heart felt alive. Eric returned 6 months later, not to apologize, to negotiate. He showed up in a borrowed suit, eyes darting around my living room like he expected police to jump out. "Dad," he said, forcing a smile, "let's be reasonable." I stood taller than I had in years. "You stole from me while I was dying." He scoffed. "You weren't dying. The doctors disagree." The judge didn't like Eric's attitude, or the bank records, or the text message. The sentence was light, but the consequences were heavy: restitution, probation, and a permanent stain on his record. Lana left him shortly after. Funny how loyalty disappears when money does. One evening, I sat alone and typed a message to Eric. I loved you more than my own comfort. I trusted you more than myself. I hope one day you understand what you broke. I deleted it. Some lessons don't need words. 2 years later, my workshop had grown into a small business. I hired 2 young men from the neighborhood, taught them everything I knew. One afternoon, Ruth visited, smiling proudly. "You rebuilt more than money," she said. She was right. I had rebuilt my dignity. I volunteered at the hospital now, sitting with patients who had no visitors, telling them stories, reminding them they still mattered. Because here's the truth I learned too late, but not too late to matter. Being old does not mean being weak. Being kind does not mean being foolish. And being betrayed does not mean being broken. If you're reading this and trusting someone with your heart, your money, or your life, be careful. Love deeply, but protect yourself. Because sometimes the greatest comeback begins in a hospital bed, with a text message meant to destroy you and the quiet decision to survive anyway.